Ladies and gentlemen, we have a lot to talk about. Thank you so very much. We have a lot to talk about, ladies and gentlemen. First and foremost, Padre Speaks. To my super chat, thank you. Padre Speaks, thank you so very much, as always, for starting it off, even before we start with the super chat. So thank you. Hit subscribe to this channel right now. We're almost at 200,000 subs. We're on our way there. We're right next to 184,000 subs. Hit subscribe. Biden should be impeached for a number of reasons. He will in 2022. So when I talk about Biden being impeached or resigning, I'm not saying immediately. I'm not saying with a Democratic House, although he could resign with a Democratic House and Kamala Harris could take over. Everyone on the planet knows the lights are on, but nobody's home. Okay, Cody, thank you. Starting it off right away. I'd be surprised if the military doesn't have a hard time getting new string personnel from now on. Yeah, I mean, what happened, Cody, thank you so very much. What happened is he told, this is interesting, Cody and Padre Speaks and everybody, he told Ashraf Ghani, the Afghan president, that his military could withstand, we'll call them the Taliban. He told, and we'll get into the actual quotes, military, the intelligence community told Biden, apparently, allegedly, that the government would fall very soon, before withdrawal or when we decided to withdraw. Biden says the wonderful intel community that obsessed over Trump-Russia, they haven't brought up Trump-Russia at all in months. They haven't brought up Putin's name in months. Very rarely. Like, maybe the other day on CNN, wow, big deal. But they thought national security was Facebook ads and Russia interfering. That's not national security. That's the security of the Democratic Party's electoral chances. Or that pertains to what benefits the Democratic Party, not what benefits the country. It has nothing to do with national security. Withdrawing all Americans, especially also an interpreter, an Afghan interpreter that Biden left behind. Cody and Padre Speaks, thank you. So he told the Afghan president in the leaked phone conversation that he had nothing to worry about. His forces were, his military strength was superior to the adversary, to the Taliban and others. Okay, days after that took place, the government fell. 13 million rounds of 7.62 by 39 or 51 was left. 13 million rounds, in addition to Humvees, in addition to vehicles and night vision goggles, body armor, rockets, a whole bunch of armament, aircraft, Black Hawk helicopters. They attached somebody's, let's put it this way, they used a helicopter today to end someone's life by attaching them on a rope. You can just imagine the scene. I'm not going to be too descriptive, but it was a flying gallows, so to speak. Okay? So this is what we left them because of Biden. He did not have to leave in the manner he did. He's lying through his teeth. He's lying through his teeth in a way that Trump never did. They said Trump lied. Trump told the truth for 4 years pertaining to Trump-Russia. He never worked with Russia. Again, that wasn't national security. Biden says, well, it would have happened. It was a 20-year war, and you know what? There's nothing we could have done. The negotiated deal stated he was supposed to leave by May 1st. If the Afghan government had fallen prior to leaving, Trump the negotiated deal stated that we didn't have to leave. It was based on conditions. Biden is lying by saying, well, there was war and conflict the past 5 months, so we couldn't leave at that point. There's always conflict. There's not a day that went by that there wasn't a military confrontation in that country between our allies and the adversaries. So he's lying. There was a prisoner swap where the Afghan government got 1,000 innocent captives in T-Ban that were in T-Ban captivity. Nobody reads the Doha Agreement. So Cody and Padre Speaks, thank you. Salty American, hello. Thank you. Thank you, Salty American, thank you. If you read the Doha Agreement, you will understand that it was conditions-based, but understandably, you couldn't expect every condition to be met perfectly. But the fall of the Afghan government would probably have been a breaking point, a deal breaker for Trump and Pompeo. Trump and Pompeo negotiated a deal to get us out of the longest-running military conflict we've ever had. Okay? The longest-running war. And you have a situation where the intelligence community contradicted the president. And he told the Afghan president something that the intelligence community stated was not accurate. He lied. Somebody lied. We don't know who lied. Either the wonderful intel community, or Biden himself. But the information that was given was not accurate. So that's number one. Okay? That's number one. You have to ask yourself, if they tried to get Trump on a Cody, thank you, Cody. Nothing says come join our branch of service like abandonment of Americans in gear in the lion's den. Call me old-fashioned. Cody, you're right. Well, here's the thing. Also, Cody, thank you as always. Here's the thing, Cody, and everybody here. He cares about perception. He doesn't care about... Okay, Biden doesn't even know what's going on. He doesn't know what's going on. Okay? He doesn't care at all about anything. He's like an actor. You give him a script, and he'll perform the act. He doesn't care about, like there is nothing this man holds dear. There's nothing this man really, the interpreter that saved him in 2008 in a snowstorm is left behind. Then they blame the visa process application, like Democrats care about that stuff. I mean, I want dreamers to become citizens. So I'm not conservative on everything. I'm liberal on some things, or left-leaning. But you mean to tell me that the paperwork he didn't fill out the appropriate paperwork, so that's why he's stuck there? The person who saved Biden's life? And then you have the issue. Then you have the issue of Cody leaving Bagram Air Base, putting our Marines and soldiers in the worst possible situation, making them do the impossible, then stating there's nothing like what Biden did was the following. He completely botched the withdrawal. Then he says, well, there was nothing that we could have done, but all of these people did an amazing job. If you tell the United States military, like, we have the best military in the world, we have the best special forces, we have the best Marines, we have the best Navy, we have the best Air Force, we have the best Army, we have the best, Green Beret, all these elite forces. We have the best. But they have a mindset that if you say, go and do the impossible, fly to Mars and, take it over and do the impossible, they will do it. They will not say, no, we can't do it. And the top generals, this is why we have an amazing, amazing man, a Marine who is risking a lot now because he's a true, true patriot like this. Marine officer relieved of duty after calling out senior Afghanistan Lieutenant Colonel Stuart Scheller. I hope I'm pronouncing his name right. I'm willing to throw it all away to say to my senior leaders, I demand accountability. Lieutenant Colonel Stuart Scheller said in the video. This man, he'd been relieved for cause based on a lack of trust and confidence. Well, yeah, I mean, all of these people who are beholden to the Democratic Party, like, you have, like, they're so interested in everything but protecting the lives of people who could lose their lives now in Afghanistan. Like, there's no accountability, and it's all public relations and perception. Eric and Luke, thank you very much. Thank you. So, he lied about the Afghan military folding or dissolving within a matter of days. He told the Afghan president that that wouldn't happen. Days after, the military folded. Then, the intelligence community says, well, Biden's wrong. Biden's wrong. We told him. Then Biden says, well, they didn't tell me. Well, who's right? Biden says they didn't tell me. The wonderful intel community that we're supposed to revere, who've been wrong. They've been wrong about everything from the Gulf of Bay of Pigs, Gulf of Tonkin, WMD, Facebook ads. Tell me when they're right about anything. They're political operatives now. They should stay out of domestic politics, but they were part of it. Where was Comey and Strzok and McCabe and Clapper and Brennan talking about Afghanistan? Where were they? Why didn't they warn us, since they're so knowledgeable and they should be believed and trusted? So the Afghan government fell within days. And he also told the United States of America in a press conference, oh, well, that's not going to happen. It happened. So they keep moving the goalposts on every issue. Then Ghani says to Biden in the transcript, well, Pakistan is helping facilitate a lot of this. Why doesn't Biden talk to Pakistan? Prime Minister Khan of Pakistan. Why didn't he ask for help? But most importantly, why didn't he start leaving and evacuating January 21st? He lied about that. He said, well, we couldn't leave. Why couldn't you leave? Well, there was fighting. There's always fighting. There's not a day where there isn't fighting. That's why the government collapsed, because there's always fighting. Well, it was bound to happen. It was a 20-year war. You can't leave without these tragedies taking. Those 13 Americans and close to 200 Afghans should be alive today. Biden, that's on Biden's hands. Remember, everything was on Trump's hands, Trump's shoulders. The cruelty of Trump. You haven't seen anything yet, because once Democrats get full control of government, you see actual cruelty. You see actual public relations, image consciousness, and everything covering up the massive cruelty. It is cruel to put American soldiers in an impossible situation. It is cruel to tell people to go through 20 checkpoints and manned by your adversaries who are completely, insidious. It is the height of immorality to say that we could have done nothing when you had a negotiated deal. See, basic logic is very difficult for many Democrats and especially Biden. Basic logic stated that he should have begun withdrawing Americans in January. There was a Los Angeles Times article in March that showed that he wasn't even certain what he was going to do. Then you have AOC, who's a complete tool of the Democratic Party. Bernie Sanders, these people are like Nancy Pelosi, socialist Nancy Pelosi's. They're wealthy, and whenever you get a wealthy socialist, they say, well, my wealth is going to be used to foster the revolution. No, it's not. I'm sure you can check AOC's Amazon account if that ever is disclosed, which I'm not advocating. I'm just saying you'd see tens of thousands of dollars every year. Almost certainly. But you have to ask yourself, why didn't he leave? This is such an important point, ladies and gentlemen. This is such an important point. And I keep on bringing it up. Today, one of the comments, one of my segments was, well, Goodman is a broken record. A chipped CD. He just keeps on saying the same things over and over again. I know. This is by design. There's a reason I'm saying the same things over again and over again and the same things. Because they're very important. He could have simply withdrew Americans in January, February, March. Within the past 2 weeks, we took home over 100,000, 120,000 people. You didn't have to do that, Biden, within 2 weeks. It's not an accomplishment. It's not an accomplishment to say that we brought home 100,000 plus people. That's not an accomplishment. To do so in a haphazard manner within the span of 2 weeks is not an accomplishment. What's an accomplishment is a withdrawal that didn't leave Americans behind. How is this normalized? You hear these words, oh, Trump was normalized. We can't normalize him. I'd rather have Trump's tweets. I'd rather have Trump's bullying than leaving one American behind and then blaming those people for not filing the correct paperwork, as if Democrats care about paperwork on anything. We left Americans behind. We left Afghans behind. We left billions in weaponry behind. We brought home 120,000 people, mostly Afghans, and God bless them. I want them to become citizens immediately. I understand this. Oh, vetting. It's like, well, if they wanted to leave, if a person does not want American values or ideals, then they stay in that country. If they want them, if they know that they're going to pay a price, and they're leaving a country because they know that they can't live there, literally can't live, because their life would end. I mean, that's a vetting process in and of itself. So if you risked your life for 20 years, and by the way, Biden gave them lists and used the T-ban, used the T-ban for security outside the airport. How do you do that? How do you do that? How do you utilize the T-ban for security outside of the airport? How is that possible? How is that possible? And then you blame everything under the sun. You say, oh, well, it's the T-ban's fault. They're so unpredictable and, we had to leave. And what can you do? You utilize them for security. What kind of absolutely foolish... you didn't have to utilize them for security if you didn't wait till the last second. That was the issue. Cody, thank you as always. You didn't have to if you hadn't. Oh, Todd, I didn't see that. Todd, thank you. I think popcorn leaked. Popcorn. Cornflakes. It's cornflakes, Todd. I didn't see that. Todd, thank you. Todd Rubel, thank you. Cody, thank you. Salty, thank you. Padre Speaks, thank you. All they had to do was devise a strategy that was better than giving lists of Americans and Afghans to the T-ban. Now, here's a question. Do you think maybe, God forbid, the T-ban or AQ or ISK or every other, deranged, horrible group, do you think, just maybe they have lists of names where they want retribution, Biden? I know the concept is too difficult for you. Any concept is too difficult for this man. Because we know, the whole planet knows he's out to lunch and nobody's home. The lights are on, but nobody's home. And everyone knows mashed potato brains doesn't understand any concept, and if you call him on it, he gets upset. Listen, you can do it. Gets upset. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. It's really unbelievable. And all they had to do was simply abide by an international agreement. Simply abide by a negotiated deal. To get Americans out of Afghanistan May 1st. That was the deal that Biden ignored. May 1st. Why couldn't he have? I don't know why. One person said, oh, well, that would have been worse because May is earlier than June or July or August. So he would have been forced to evacuate, in a more haphazard manner. It's like, no, you don't understand. You don't get it, do you? You don't get it at all. This is very difficult for you to understand. It has nothing to do with like a time after May 1st, because after May 1st, all you know what was going to break loose. There was a prisoner swap that was already conducted between the Afghan government and the Taliban before January. The Afghan government was a part of it eventually, the negotiation. Everyone agreed to this. The United Nations Security Council sanctioned it. Everyone agreed to it. Biden decided to simply spite Trump. That's why he didn't abide by the deal. He wanted to spite Trump. I have yet to hear an actual reason why he didn't abide by the May 1st timeline. We were supposed to be out by May 1st. Why is that so hard for morally superior, wonderful Democrats to understand? They're supposed to be the highly educated, polished, diplomatic, pragmatic, rational people who love multilateral deals. Why is that so difficult to understand? I think I'm just going to go ahead, record myself saying what I just said the past 35 seconds, and just keep it on continual loop, and you'll just have me saying, looking like this every segment from here on out. He lied through his teeth on so many things, but they don't care about lies when it's lying by omission. When it's a lie by omission to say, well, these things are bound to happen. You'll never get fact check. Dun 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 dun. Fact check. Oh my God, fact check. Don't listen to misinformation. They're so petrified of misinformation and disinformation. I've never seen this in my life. It's so Orwellian. It's the definition of Orwellian. They're afraid that another viewpoint, they're up at night, they're petrified at night. They have nightmares that anyone on the planet, that somebody someplace on the planet might actually disagree with them and have a viewpoint of their own. So they think they can have the last word with a fact check. It's not a fact check. These are rebuttals. These are vapid rebuttals, or the last word in an ongoing discussion and debate. That's the deal. That's what's really taking place, an ongoing discussion and debate on every topic, not just foreign policy, on every single topic. So you have to ask yourself, at what point? So when I talk about like impeachment, when I talk about resignation or impeachment, it's obviously for 2022, but it's a certainty now. He's going. I say Biden will today. I say Biden will certainly be impeached. I say, well, not, and I agree with people. I say, well, not Nancy Pelosi. And I agree. I'm talking about in 2022 when the House is Republican. I think eventually Kamala Harris will take over for Biden. I don't see Biden, and God bless him. I'm not saying anything about health. God bless him. I want him to live to 120 years old. I'm talking about the man. When a person's brain is fried, okay? Remember the old 80s commercial, this is your brain? This is your brain on drugs with the frying egg? Scrambled egg brains. Mashed potato head. Mashed potato brains. Scrambled egg mind. Or should it be mashed potato mind? Or scrambled egg cranium. I don't know. Cracked cranium. He's not there. Everyone knows. There's not a person on the planet that doesn't do you think that Xi of China or Putin, or do you think these people are like, wow, what a sharp and intelligent leader? They know that he's being propped up by the establishment. And like they asked Jake Sullivan on MSNBC, I forgot who, the anchor, the host, was the same host that allowed Biden to get away with. I forgot her name. But Biden did this hand gesture that was trying to replicate something that Bill Clinton, that's something I would do. A hand gesture where the hand is going up and down. And all you got was this very embarrassed giggle. Or I can't even really explain it because it's like he got into one of his, like, he tried to apologize for something he said. And so he then did something with his hand. It was really, really weird. Here, hold on. Oh my God. Oh my God. You can't believe this. Oh, it's Nicole Wallace. And you just, I don't even want to get into it, okay? But she let him off the hook because they don't care about, hold on. Let's see if they don't care about, like, here, I talked about it on H.A. Goodman's other channel. I'm going to start doing more on that. Biden inexplicably makes suggestive hand gestures on MSNBC interview with Nicole Wallace. It was nuts. Okay, but then again, you're not dealing with people who, like, Uranium Rabbit. What's sad is so many people still support him. Well, Uranium Rabbit, thank you so very much. Thank you for your support, generosity. Thank you. Uranium Rabbit, the issue is they can't admit they're wrong, and they would much rather have Biden and the end of the world. They would rather have the end of the world than have Trump's tweets. Trump's personality has broken them spiritually, mentally. They have a serious problem with Trump's personality. That's why I'm kind of fearing, like, 2024, maybe DeSantis might be the best way. I mean, I want Trump. Don't get me wrong, but he's now in the same situation. It took 4 years. It took the Clintons like 20 years, 25 years to get to the point where you galvanize every Republican or every independent or even progressives to vote against the Clintons. That might be the case also for Trump now. He's reached a point where he's broken them. So their worldview is do the opposite of Trump, which is what Biden did in Afghanistan. At all costs, if it's anything, a treatment for something, anything, just do the opposite. Disparage, find public relations. Trump is wrong. Even if he's right, he's wrong. If he's right, then say he's wrong, and then slowly say he could be right 5-6 months later. But you've got enough people thinking he's wrong. So it's like, it might be like DeSantis might be the most logical choice. But again, he would have to, I think that I want Trump. Uranium Rabbit, thank you. But they are willing to do anything. They are willing to do anything. Absolutely anything to oppose Trump. So that's the issue. Uranium Rabbit, thank you so very much. Freedom! Freedom Autopsy Report. Dems are rabid. Marxists only want power. That's true. They definitely only want power. The voting base is becoming more Marxist or socialist or communist, but the actual political party itself just funnels those people back into the Democratic Party. The Democrats don't believe anything, they don't truly, they maybe believe one or two or three things. They don't even really believe the rhetoric on climate change. I mean, you can go, I always repeat myself a million times over. If they cared about climate change, they'd pass the Green New Deal legislation. If they can't pass the legislation and it was a resolution, then all they care about is pontificating. See, they need to preach and pontificate and give sermons and tell people how morally superior they are. They don't care about the reality or facts or data. It's very easy, extremely easy, to refute Democrats on a number of topics. They run social media algorithms now. So you really can't, whenever you see this statement is misleading, caution, caution, go to www.government, trust government on everything, and dispose of critical thinking skills.com. And then you get, are you an expert? I'm not a geologist, but if a geologist told me to jump off a cliff, why would I do that? Just because he knows a great deal more about rock formations than I do. Wait, what do you mean by that? You don't have to be an expert on everything in life. You have to just use basic common sense. And there should be an understanding that experts are wrong a lot of the time. They have a very narrow knowledge base. You should utilize a person's expertise in a very specific, targeted manner. Just because a person is an authority on one subject doesn't mean they're right about everything on the subject. There are historians, there are people they're not right on everything. This historian says Trump. Well, this historian's a liberal Democrat. There are other historians that disagree with him. So, Uranium Rabbit, thank you. Awesome. Uranium Rabbit, thank you so very much. They support him still because they just want the opposite of Trump. They want political power. They have it. And they don't care. And they'll justify anything. They'll justify anything. And if you talk to them about the cruelty, see, for 4 years they said, oh, if you vote for Trump, what kind of human being are you? But they don't use the same logic against themselves. What kind of human being are these people to have voted for Biden? A man who even abandons the person who saved his life. There's an Afghan interpreter who saved Biden's life. And he is now trapped behind enemy lines. As are Americans. And I mean, there's nothing we could do. There's nothing that we can do. He says in his speech, well, it was bound to happen. No, it wasn't bound to happen. None of this was bound to happen. It happened because you wanted it to take place, because you didn't want to pull out by May 1st. They didn't know what to do for January, February, March. They came in, they didn't have any idea. The infrastructure bill is an abomination. Construction is a very small part of the U.S. economy. When they say shovel ready, you're not going to, a single mom who is struggling to find work to pay for medication and pay for rent and pay for clothing and pay for food for her children, the same person that Democrats claim to champion, they're not going to benefit from the infrastructure bill, which, by the way, will decrease GDP in 20 years. The infrastructure bill has nothing to do with economic growth. And the states with the highest unemployment rates are Democratic states. The states would go to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, and it's always been that way for the past year. It's like, Democrats would always say, oh, Republicans vote against their interests. No, Democrats vote against their interests. There's now an eviction crisis that Democratic politicians created. Oh, we can't open up the economy. We can't do that. Oh my goodness, Trump wants to open things up. Well, it's now 2021. We're facing the same quote-unquote crisis. Your draconian policies did nothing. This was supposed to have ended, remember? When you tanked all of society and forced people out of work? Look at what Democrats have presided over. Don't say it was Trump. Trump wanted to open up the economy May of last year. Don't blame Trump. Don't blame Trump for the eviction crisis when every single day the public relations machine said, experts say it's too soon. It's too soon. Here's a stimulus check after we prevented you from working. These people like, Larry Stuart Scheller. Yeah, I did. He's awesome. He's amazing. I hope I'm pronouncing his last name correctly. Stuart Scheller. Thank you. He's amazing. A true patriot hero. But you look and it's like, you look at these policies, we're going to have an eviction crisis. We're going to have an eviction we have an eviction moratorium that's ended. Because Democrats, in their infinite wisdom, of course I'm being facetious, said, oh, let's tank society. This will save people. The opposite was true. It hurt so many lives. You now have people who have families who are facing eviction. And then listen, they never lose an opportunity to complain about things that they caused and then pretend that it's the fault of others. Then you'll have AOC and Bernie Sanders. AOC, I just want to let everybody know this eviction crisis is really bad. And then Bernie Sanders, oh, there's evictions and the wealthy 1%, and they're having a good time. And you know what? People are facing eviction. Well, Bernie, maybe if you opened your mouth and actually opposed the Democratic Party's absurd policies of tanking the entire American society for a year, you think he would actually oppose Democrats on anything that's of substance? Not little things here and there, like, oh, I disagree a little bit. You prevented people from working, so now we face a huge crisis. The economy is not going to rebound in the manner that it should. In aggregate numbers, if you just start the economy again, like if more people start working than before, yeah, you're going to see an increase in aggregate numbers or growth, but you're not really taking into account the people that are now going to be evicted. And then you couple that with Afghanistan and the crisis. Like, this is one of the worst foreign policy crises in the history of the country and had nothing to do with leaving. They try to conflate, like, now Biden is saying, well, and then Ann Coulter, I have no clue what this woman is thinking. She says, oh, well, Biden had the courage to leave. It's like, he only left because of Trump. Because Trump negotiated a deal in February of 2020, February of last year. It was negotiated for May 1st of 2021. So I don't understand, basic, timelines are very, simple timelines are, physics, astrophysics to these people. Like, they don't get it. What did you want him to do? He's being investigated every second of the day. Cali boy! The Dems only care about the economy when they're in power. Exactly. And look Cali boy, everybody here, thank you, Cali boy, as always. look what's taking place now because of Democrats. You have families who are facing eviction. You have Americans left behind. You have Afghans left behind. The interpreter, Cali boy, thank you again. The interpreter that saved Biden's life. I mean, no good deed goes unpunished with Democrats. Unbelievable. The interpreter that saved Biden's life was left behind. With friends like these, who needs enemies? Oh, was it? There's a line in one of my favorite movies, Cali Boy, everybody here, Rushmore, where the kid goes, with friends like these, who needs friends? With friends like you, who needs friends? This is funny. But it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Cali Boy, thank you again. Thank you again, as always. I just like, you look at, type in eviction crisis in New York. Inside the debate over whether to extend moratorium, it's like, well, the Supreme Court already made it impossible. Or now the New York State legislatures are working through a rare special session to extend moratorium, but some landlords are not. Okay, so it's like, at what point, because I of course side with the renters and the people who have mortgages. I side with, my heart and my thoughts side with people who, might be out of a dwelling, might be forced out. Yeah. But at a certain point, if you have forced American society, if you have tanked society, Tig, thank you. I have to thank you, Tig. Thank you so very much. I got to go right now. You were so kind and sending the super thanks. Tig, thank you again for the super chat and the super thanks. I'm going to thank you right now. I really appreciate that, Tig. Thank you. Tig, thank you so very much. Thank you, Tig. At a certain point, you have to ask yourself, if they didn't have, if there was an objective media, if media was objective, and they looked at the consequences of Democratic Party policies, okay? The eviction crisis is 100% the fault of Democrats. Afghanistan, the withdrawal, is 100% the fault of Democrats. 100%. Not 90%, 100%. Getting us there, the 20 years, yeah, that's Bush's fault. Getting us out, and the Lincoln Project's fault. Getting us out, Trump reversed U.S. foreign policy. Had we abided by, you can't blame Trump for the withdrawal because you didn't even abide by his negotiated deal. You just did something completely arbitrary. Thank you, Tig, again. So it's like if they didn't have every single possible advantage, every single possible advantage, what would happen? Like, you have to understand something. There are wealthy, very wealthy liberal Democrats, very wealthy liberal Democrats all throughout Los Angeles who wake up in the morning and then see homeless people utilizing the bathroom next to their very wealthy homes near the beach, all throughout Los Angeles, all throughout California. And these people vote for policies that don't work. These people vote for politicians that say the right things, that say the right things and are polished and they're diplomatic and they're like, thin and polished and, They say the right things and do the right things, and they have this group of experts, and then they have a consensus, and the experts and the consensus and the Washington Post and the New York Times, I mean, how could they be wrong? They have everything. If you deviate from the mainstream, you must be wrong. Well, this is a manufactured consensus. You don't have a consensus when you have social media companies stifling debate. You don't have a consensus when you have Twitter kicking people off for misinformation, when you have Falsey and others who change their tune every week. Okay? And it's okay because, you know what? The goalposts keep moving. They keep moving the goalposts. What you thought was going to happen last month is not what's going to happen this month, and it's certainly not what's going to what's taking place today is not what's going to happen next month in terms of what they're advocating. They continually move the goalposts because it's not how accurate they are. It's the fact that everyone agrees with them, or they think that they can portray everyone agreeing with them. So they have consensus. Their vantage point is, well, we must be right. More people agree with us. But they've also stifled debate and discussion. How can you have a consensus when you've prevented debate and discussion? How can you have a consensus? How can you have a consensus when you don't allow debate, dialogue, discussion, different viewpoints? It makes no sense. It makes no sense at all. And it's like, where are the fact-checking organizations? Where is the running tally of lies? You can count hundreds of lies already with Biden and Psaki, Jen Psaki. Even the White House press corps was like, for 4 years, it was an exercise in performance art. I just want to let you know, Trump, and then Trump was like, you know what, you're a loser, somebody, and then another person, and then you get I just want to let you know, Mr. Trump and Mr. President, so and so is my friend, and he's a good journalist. Like, I don't care what I would if I was Trump, I would be like, I don't care what you think. Next person. Why did he have to why did he even have to answer questions from CNN? Why? Because that, now I guess they're answering questions from Fox, but like, the White House press corps, Ducey is fantastic, but he's like a million times nicer than CNN's Acosta. Like a million times more respectful. And what Biden views as disrespectful is actual questions. I'm not going to answer a question. Hey, come on now. Come on, man. No, they told me I can't answer. They told me I can't speak. And it's like he's like so honest. And he's like, okay, one more question. Fine. But come on, man. And then they mute his microphone. They're not even pretending anymore. Do you understand? Like, they're not pretending. Usually, this is, this is out in the open. They're not even pretending. They're muting his microphone. The White House press corps now is like docile. There's, everybody's docile. I mean, look. Last year, President Trump fell for so many traps, media traps, social media traps. Jean-Louis, my cult can't handle the truth. Jean-Louis, and you have to be careful. Be careful. Look, let me tell you something. The people in my life who've stuck by me, which are, interestingly enough, a small number of people, friends and family, that's actually a good thing, because I can now understand who would like betray me or who would just succumb to the media narrative in a moment's like if 30 years or 40 years of knowing somebody is not enough to overshadow, like if you haven't built up enough good times, good memories with somebody to overshadow Trump or Biden or Clinton or Bush or CNN or Fox, then whatever that bond was has dissipated. Either the bond was never as strong as you thought, or it just dissipated, or it was strong once, but then because of other factors, it is no longer the same. But it's actually good to find out. Like when people say, like, I'm not hanging out with anyone, I'm not going to be friends with anyone who doesn't do this, that. I'm like, okay, good. Now I know I know how you live your life and how you expect everyone to live their lives, doing exactly what you think is appropriate. People must, if you know somebody who demands allegiance and obedience to their viewpoint or anything else, the person's probably going to turn on you if you express any sense of independence or critical thinking skills or just a different viewpoint. You might be wrong. Let's say you're wrong. Let's say I'm wrong. A friendship or a bond or a family connection, that should overshadow politics. That's what I always was learned in my life. But see, again, that's the cult mentality. Jean-Louis! Thank you. Allie Wolf, hello. Thank you. Again, you're talking, like, this is the thing. And people say, like, I find it amusing. I find it amusing because I have a great many wonderful, wonderful people who had no clue. They just, they just subscribed to the channel. No clue I was on the left most of my life. And they're like, I wouldn't be so happy and proud that you were once a Bernie supporter. I mean, come on. And it's like, I'm not saying it because I'm proud. I'm saying it because, to give context, like, I was able to get out of that cult. Okay? I was able to leave that world. And I was able to leave that world because I can see what they're all about. They're about groupthink. It's about groupthink. Groupthink. It's not about individuality. There is a it's a finely tuned machine. Okay? A finely tuned, the Democratic Party or the left or the mainstream, whatever, it's a finely tuned public relations apparatus. They work off of a fabricated consensus. Like, for example, they'll have, like, okay, Trump decides to do something, a policy. He pushes a policy. For 2 weeks straight. Oh my God, Trump's policy is bad. Every single media, publication, cable station, even Fox News to an extent, will say, Trump. And then they'll have a poll. And we just asked most, 58% of Americans disagree with Trump. You had 2 weeks of endless negative coverage. What do you expect? What do you expect? Then they say, 49% of Americans still back Biden. It's like, no. No. Or 40, no, I think it was down to 41 or 43. I don't know, 45, 44, whatever. It has to be below 40%. But you're not going to get the accurate number because you don't have the same apoplectic media coverage. Then you have Politico articles. Then you have New York Magazine articles where people are like, now, the nonstop circus around Trump is over. The circus around Trump. The circus and the insanity around Trump is not Trump. It's the reaction. It's the absurd, ludicrous, fabricated, indignation and outrage every 2 seconds over Trump. So they've now absolved themselves or vindicated themselves in some bizarre, warped way by saying, oh, you know what, now we can just focus on regular politics. Unlike the Trump, people are going down, the ratings are going down because, people aren't as interested anymore in politics because Trump is not as erratic. And we were just covering Trump's, manic personality. No. Every politician is a creation of the media around him. Almost every politician is a creation. Look, there are some people, like Rand Paul, for example, that they're pretty awesome. Media can't disparage Rand Paul because he's so logical and he's so on point with so many things. You can disagree with him, but he backs up his arguments. Trump backs up his arguments too, but he's not very good at communicating. He's like this sledgehammer approach. And I always say this, and I know that people just completely tune out, but he should go on CNN tomorrow. He should go on MSNBC tomorrow and go every week. Take it to them. Take it to them. Don't just the way to deal with the liberal media public relations machine is to take the battle or take the idea or take the argument to them. And that doesn't happen. Admit when you're wrong, but at the same time, try to, articulate and communicate your vantage point. So even if they disagree, they're going to disagree at all costs. But you've still communicated the vantage point. Whether you're right or wrong, you're most likely going to be right if you're opposing, this fanatical liberal ideology on so many things. You're very likely going to be right. If anything, you'll be right about the hypocrisy. So climate change is an important issue. All Trump had to do, let's say he's asked about climate change. Well, this is bad for climate change. Trump can simply say, why didn't you pass the Green New Deal legislation? Why? And then, well, wait a second. I thought the world was going to end. So you must not believe the rhetoric. See, there's a disconnect between the emotional rhetoric of Democrats and their policies. They don't coincide. They don't correlate. The words and the paranoia and the hysteria don't correlate with their actual policies. What they do is just try to whip up, try to create as much of a frenzy as possible. That's what they do. Okay? Jean-Louis, thank you. Thank you, Jean-Louis. You're brave for breaking out of the herd. No argument there. I would still argue with you about leaving Afghanistan until the pub closes. Until the pub closes. Jean-Louis. Thank you, Jean-Louis. Jean-Louis, yes. My argument is just primarily some things cannot be achieved militarily. That's my main, the counterinsurgency conflict can't be achieved. There's no definition of victory. There's no definition of victory. But, now to get out of his, atrocious handling, he then says, well, I had the courage to get people out. I was like, no, you didn't. You didn't even know. In the Los Angeles Times has an article, I've put it up before. They didn't even know if they wanted to leave. They had no clue if they wanted to leave in March. So it's like they didn't even know. It's like they hadn't even made a decision. They hadn't even made a decision on whether to leave or not. And then when they made the decision, it was quick, let's go for the public relations. Quick, let's go. And it's like at a certain point you have to ask yourself, like, how long can this country be run by people who are focused only on public relations, only on media and public relations? They made Trump into this otherworldly monster, and they're trying to shield Biden when it's actually Biden's fault. This could have been avoided. All of this could have been avoided. You simply abide by the timeline. If he abided by the timeline and this took place, then you could say, hey, we did everything Trump said. But if you deviate at all, you own that. Don't say that you don't own it if you've deviated from the actual plan. If you've tried to make your own plan, and it didn't work out, don't blame Trump for it. Like, it's very difficult. These like little things, like little concepts, like very difficult for them to understand. Just go ahead and abide by the deal that your predecessor. Just go ahead and abide by the deal that your predecessor had negotiated. That's it. You can simply abide by the deal that your predecessor had negotiated. But he didn't do that. So, it's like they'll never use basic logic. And like simple questions completely destroy their narrative. Simple, basic questions. Well, why didn't you leave January? Well, we couldn't. There was fighting. The Afghan government already engaged in a prisoner swap with the Taliban. So it's like you already have all of this. Like the template for all of this was already written out. We had a blueprint. We had a strategy. We had a strategy and a blueprint to leave. And Biden abandoned all of that. He abandoned all of that because he wanted to spite Trump. And that's really it. I mean, you see now what's going on. Jean-Louis! Honestly, I think Chairman Z was behind both sides of the trial. Otherwise, yes, I'm on board. By the way, argue it, not betray you over it. Oh, Jean-Louis, you're the best. Thank you. Jean-Louis, thank you. No, debate is fine. Is great. That's the thing. Like, this is what I do. I have my channel, and this is what I do. I'm passionate about, and my writing, and I'm going to try to branch out. Start a Odyssey channel soon, and some other things. So the future is bright, thank God. But politics is not life. Life is a whole lot more. That's why I say, Jean-Louis, everybody here, focus on love, life, happiness, success. These are the things that are important. These are the important things in life. Okay? These are the important things in life. Getting too emotional about and that's the thing too. Like I saw this only with Trump. Only with Trump have I seen this nonsense. Like, that's the only time I've seen people completely lose it. And it has more to do with his personality. Luke, thank you. It's I know I do need a I do need another haircut. Thank you, Hippie Crusher. Hello. Yeah, Eric and Luke, definitely. I do want to start the Odyssey, but I don't know if Odyssey is I have to find out how it's monetized. I can't just do these without Eric. I want to do it, you're right, but it's I do have to. Well, it's not as easy as it would seem. Indiewood Odyssey, yes. I have to find out though how it's monetized. So, I can't just, I don't have $20 million in venture capital funding. So, it's not as easy as simply, spending all day on Odyssey, although it sounds good. Indy, thank you so very, very much. And even on Odyssey, I could have profanity alerts, but I'd still, because the way things run, you'd still have to watch some of what you say, because even that could be used against you with your YouTube channel. So there's a lot of things to worry about. Indy, thank you so very much. It's look, at this point right now, YouTube is the number one platform to communicate your thoughts and ideas. I understand there are platforms that are growing. But I don't have a big enough audience yet to just make a substantial transition to Odyssey or any other platform. It's just, I have to deal with reality right now. Do I enjoy watching everything I have to say? No. But I think I do an okay job. Indy Wood, thank you so very much. I know I'm going to start an Odyssey channel soon. But it's it's not like I'll be completely free to say everything, because you still have to understand that your channels, I have 2 channels on YouTube, that could be affected by, not that I have extreme viewpoints on anything, but Jean-Louis, I'm happy to make super chat, small budget, but your message is good. I hope you reach many more. Jean-Louis, you're very kind. And you're very, very generous, and I do appreciate all your support. Indy is same with you. Same with Cody. Same with everybody here. Eric and Luke, I can't thank you enough for being amazing moderators. It's like you just have to look at the news. Jean-Louis, Indy, everybody here. Ask basic questions. Why didn't he start withdrawing Americans earlier? He didn't, because he wanted to spite Trump. That's why. He didn't want Trump to get the complete political victory. So, because of that, he then ignored the May 1st timeline. He ignored the May 1st timeline and then said, you know what, I'll roll the dice. We'll get over 100,000 people out in 2 weeks in a chaotic, rushed, process full of mayhem and chaos. Then we'll say, if something happens, well, it was bound to happen, then 13 Americans lose their lives and close to 200 Afghans. And then he says, well, it was bound to take place. It wasn't. These people lost their lives because Biden wanted to spite Trump for public relations purposes. President, hello. Ladies and gentlemen, I am going to be back. Indy, Jean-Louis, Cody, everybody here. I'm going to be back. Cali Boy, everybody here. I'm going to be back 10:30. So be here 10:30, everybody. 10:30 Pacific, a little over an hour and a half from now, for another live stream. Thanks, everybody. God bless. To my super chat, thank you. Eric and Luke, thank you. And thank you so very, very much. I will see you in about an hour.